Okay, we ready to go? Wow, we already got my shoes up there. Y'all have been making fun of that, haven't you? I think we already talked about that, so let's go to, I think we did that one as well, didn't we? If the Bible had said just a Jewish man, then any Jewish man, could have worked, correct? But if he says a Jewish man from the tribe of Levi, then that means what? Levi. Well, what does that say about the other tribes? Now, we're going to talk about this tonight. What if someone said, well, the Bible does not say that you cannot have a priest from the tribe of Reuben. The Bible doesn't say that you cannot have a priest from the tribe of Simeon or Judah. What if someone said that?
It doesn't say you can't have fried chicken on the Lord's Supper either.
Okay, it specifies Levi. And when it specifies Levi, what does that leave out? Okay. All right, now we're going to get into Hosea chapter 7 here in just a minute on the Lord. Okay? Now, I told you I was going to use instrumental music as some application here. So here we go. Suppose, Ephesians 5:19, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs. Okay, singing, making melody in your heart. Okay. Now, suppose it just said, speaking to yourselves in music.
Still speaking.
What kind of music could we use, Brother Larry?
Kind of music, whatever goes with speaking.
You could use whatever kind of music you want, right? But it didn't say that. Okay, but since it specifies, I'm getting ahead of myself. Since it says to sing, there are two kinds of music, singing and playing. Since it says to sing, what does that say about playing? It would be excluded, wouldn't it? Okay. Now, let's see. Let's go farther. Well, what I was going to say here is, since it specifies psalms, hymns, spiritual songs, then what does that say about bluegrass and jazz and country and whatever? All that would be excluded, wouldn't it, Brother Donald? Okay, now, all right, here's the physician to the pharmacist. How you like that? That's pretty snazzy, isn't it, Brother Cole? See, I could have said doctor and drugstore dealer or something. But I put those two P's there. You like that? Physician to the pharmacist. I never had a physician in Mississippi. Did y'all have one growing up? We had a doctor, Victor. Here's a doctor. Okay. All right. So here's the physician to the pharmacist. Give the patient whatever antibiotic you have. Have we got any doctors in here? We got some nurse practitioners. Where are you?
She's with teaching class.
Paige is teaching.
Teaching.
Okay. All right. Give the patient whatever antibiotic you have. So, whatever antibiotic. That could be what? Be penicillin. What else? It's any antibiotic. And it's inclusive. It could be penicillin, what? Sulfa, erythromycin, what's some other ones? Amoxicillin, and some of those other ones, okay? And then notice that it says it's generic, any antibiotic, it's inclusive, penicillin, etc., but it's exclusive. You could not give, the physician could not give, the pharmacist could not give the patient antacids and fulfill that command. Could they? Has everybody got that? Does that make sense? Okay. All right, now what about this? The physician says to the pharmacist, give the patient 250 milligrams of tetracycline 3 times a day. Brother Clyde, do not get me off the subject here. Okay. All right. Betty, would you hold on? All right. Rein him in. Okay. You're right. I don't know if you are or not. I'm not a doctor, that kind of doctor. Okay, it's specific, what? Tetracycline. Now, how could it be inclusive? Well, I thought it might include, a variety of drugstores or something like that. Pardon?
You'll have brand names and generics.
Okay. Different brand names. Okay, that might be better to say it that way. But it's specific, it's tetracycline, and it's exclusive because if it specifies tetracycline, what does that say about erythromycin? Well, what if it's a drug real close to tetracycline? What about that? That'd be all right, wouldn't it, Jonathan? Yeah, but I mean, what if they're first cousins?
Not far from the kingdom, whatever.
What's that, Larry?
Well, the Lord told the man he wasn't far from the kingdom, whatever, but, now, you just, if you ain't in it, you're still far from it.
I love this class. I'm really going to miss you guys next quarter. All right. Okay, ready? Now, here we go. Speaking to yourselves, psalms, hymns, spiritual songs, sing and make a melody in your heart to the Lord. So it's specific to sing. How could it be inclusive? Well, we could use a songbook or not use a songbook. We could use a screen or not use a screen, correct? We could use a tuning fork, couldn't we? If I had done the lesson on expediency, Brother Allen did a good job on that. But we used to go to a congregation in the 70s, and it was very amusing to me. I preached, there, quite a large church in Memphis. Anyway, song leader would get up there, and he'd hold his watch to his ear. I was sitting there, I'm thinking, what are you doing? Every time. And of course, you know me, I can't help myself. So I pulled him to the side, and I said, brother, what are you doing? He said, that watch has a certain tune, and then I go from that tune to whatever the first note is on the song. Does that make sense? Not crazy? All right. Okay, here's another one for you. I knew another song leader. He'd get in the pulpit, and he'd kind of cock his head just a little bit, toward the ceiling. You know me. I said later to him, I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm listening to that fluorescent light bulb above me. And he had, I guess people like that have perfect pitch. I don't know. I'm not a musician. But at any rate, he got the pitch of that fluorescent light, and then he went from there to the first note of the song. Am I saying that right, you musicians?
Yes.
Okay. Who said that? Beth, you're a musician? Jim? Jim, you're a musician? Yeah, Jim, you're a musician. Do you still need to be playing on that trombone? Okay. Watch electricity. Okay. All right. But is that not crazy? So you could get it from your watch, you could get it from a light bulb, you could get it from a tuning fork, you could get it from a pitch pipe. And it would not be expedient, I don't think, but you could get it from the key of a piano, couldn't you? But see, it wouldn't look very good if we had a piano, up here, and then the song leader walk over there, ding, or whatever, and then you get in the pulpit. That wouldn't look expedient. That wouldn't be expedient, would it? Why? Because we could have some people come in and they'd say, well, we didn't think you all, practice instrumental music. Well, we don't. We're just using it to get the pitch. Not good. That's a bad idea. Okay, we all got it? Okay, now let's go to Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews 1, 4 and 5. Notice it says, for to which of the angels did he ever say, you are my son, today I've begotten you? And again, I'll be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. All right, now let me go right here. Here it is. I just read it. Now, God never did say to an angel, you are my son, today I've begotten you. But he did say it to Jesus, didn't he? So since he said it to Jesus, what does that say about angels? What does it say, Brother Allen? They would be inferior, to Jesus. Okay? So why is Jesus greater than angels? Because God is silent concerning the position of authority concerning angels. Does that make sense? Make sense, Brother Frank? Okay, so why is singing superior than playing? Because God said what? He said sing. Is that right? Okay. All right, now let's look at Hebrews 7. I think I already mentioned this, or if I didn't, it seems like I did. Okay, Hebrews 7. This has to do with the priesthood and silence. For the one of whom these things are spoken belonged to another tribe from which no one has ever served at the altar. For it is evident that our Lord was descended from Judah, and in connection with that tribe, Moses said nothing about priests. So, specific authority was for a man from the tribe of Levi. Jesus was from the tribe of Judah. What did Moses say about the tribe of Judah? He didn't say anything, did he? Well, Brother Donald, what if someone said, oh, I remember just when I was a young preacher, they said, well, it doesn't say, that we can't use a piano, in worship. Oh, but how would we apply that to this? What if someone were to say, well, it does not say that we can't use, someone from the tribe of Judah. What would we say to that? Well, that's true, but what does it say? It says from the tribe of Levi. Brother Steve?
If you drive a diesel automobile, you don't have to be told not to put gasoline or kerosene or coal or burn oil or anything else that you know to put diesel, because that's what it's spoken about.
Well, some of us don't need to be told. Lexington, Tennessee. I put 20 gallons in a 19, I think it was a 90 Pontiac. It went about 50 feet.
Well, I didn't know that when I was brought
Well, I think this must have been when, now a diesel, hose pipe or whatever. Nozzle, thank you, Brandon, is bigger, and it won't go in it, but not this diesel place. And I just, do what?
Mine wasn't either, I just put 23 gallons.
Oh, okay. But it would fit in there, wouldn't it, Bill? Yeah. So, anyway, I didn't know what to do. I called a friend. It was about dark. And you know how many containers you have when you're on a situation like that? And so he came and he hooked some little wire around the battery and pumped it all out. And I found some containers, and I hope they were okay with this, because I set it by their station. It was closed or something. I don't know what I did. Okay, but you're right. Most people don't need to be told. All right, me and Bill. All right, now, so Moses did not say anything about the tribe of Judah, did he? He didn't, Gary. But he did say something about the tribe of Levi. So since he specified Levi, then what does that mean?
We use Levi.
Okay. Let's see, wait a minute, I got a note here. I've already passed the slide, but it's still pertinent. Okay, I've got a note here. Mark 16:16, the specific command is to believe and be baptized, right? So the be baptized would exclude what? Going to exclude sprinkling, pouring. It's interesting to me, people talk about the modes of baptism. The modes of baptism. Now, if you want to, I told a guy one time, I said, if you want to talk about modes of baptism, what we need to talk about is whether you go, the administrator takes you on your back, or whether they put you face forward, or whether you go straight down. See, that would be different modes of immersion. He said, oh, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sprinkling and pouring. I said, well, they don't have anything to do with baptism. Now I said the Greek word is baptizo. The word for pour is, wait a minute, keo, and it's either pour upon, epikeo, or pour out of, ekkeo, and the word for sprinkle is rantidzo. So if God wanted us to be sprinkled, he would have said, he that believes and is rantized. But he didn't say that. Does that make sense? All right. Modes of baptism is, that doesn't even make sense. You know, if you're talking about sprinkling and pouring, John. It makes sense if you want to talk about go face down. You know, like I could say to a candidate, well, what mode of baptism would you like, sir? Well, what do you mean? Well, do you want to go face down? You want to go backwards? You want to go straight down? See, that would be a mode of baptism. All right. Sorry I got off. I do that. Now, did God say you can't have a priest from the tribe of Judah? What's the answer to that? No. Did he say you can't have instrumental music in worship? No. But he did tell us what he wanted, right? Now, let's talk about prohibitive and permissive. What's the difference in these two words? Prohibitive and permissive. Who would like to launch out in the deep there?
One is okay, one is not.
All right. Brother Doug says one is okay, one is not. Well, could we add here depending? Like permissive would be okay when? When would we say could it be okay, Brother Allen? Can you think? Okay, in the area of expediency. See, Brother Doug, it would be okay there. Like using this thing right here or a tuning fork, you know, or whatever. You know, the Bible's silent, you know, on all of those things, but it's permitted. When would it be prohibitive? It'd be prohibited like what we've been talking about, you know, one serving as a priest, you know, from the tribe of Judah. See, the law had to be changed for the Lord Jesus to serve as priest. So prohibitive and permissive. We need to look at that. Now, I want to show you this slide right here. Wait a minute. Well, we decided last week I had the wrong slides, didn't we, Larry? All right, y'all look on your paper. Do you have a slide number? Wow, I got to have binoculars to see this number.
22.
I can't read it. What is it?
20.
22. All right, y'all see that? About Zwingli? Okay. Who was Zwingli? Who can tell me? Just in a nutshell. Do you know? What, Alan? A Dutch reformer. Nobody heard you. I know. I'm sorry. I was told I was supposed to repeat it. Right, Brother Brian? You didn't tell me that, but I picked up on it from watching you when I was sick and afflicted. Okay. Isn't that funny? That's what we say, isn't it? You want to pray for the sick and afflicted? Or we'll say, Lord, we want to pray for the sick of the congregation. And I'm always expecting someone to say, well, I'm sick of the congregation. Okay, sorry. You shouldn't have gotten it. Okay, a Dutch reformer during the Reformation. All right, now here's what he had to say. What the Bible does not command, we may not do. All right, now what about Luther? He was a reformer, German, and he said it this way: we may do what the Bible does not forbid. Now, we have people that subscribe to both of those views today, don't we? I've talked to a lot of people that buy into what Luther said. You know, here's what they say. Well, it doesn't say we can't do it. That's the Luther thinking. Now, I'm of the opinion that silence in recent times has been assumed to be permissive rather than prohibitive. And many religious groups have for a long time held to this. You know, the idea that we can do what the Bible does not forbid. But we can't do that. Now, to me, the real question to ask is this. Let's see. Is the command general or specific? That's the real question. Now, I want to use Noah and his ark. Now, I was talking about this one time, and Brother Corey, a person said to me, well, David, that's an old illustration. And I said, so? What difference does it make? Does it still work or not? I don't care how old it is. It doesn't matter to me. You tell me after class, I'd prefer after class, if it does not work. All right, build an ark. Suppose God said, build an ark. The command, let me find my little Dewey here. The command is a general command. We don't have any specifics, right? All right, silence here is permissive as to how the ark is built. It just says build an ark, Victor. So build an ark. Okay, Noah could say, well, what is an ark? Okay, an ark's a big boat. Okay, well, I think it ought to be this long and this wide and so forth. He could have done that, couldn't he? If God just said build an ark. One could use any material. He could use oak, in the construction. Couldn't he? If he just said build an ark, he could use any kind of wood, couldn't he? However, this command is also specific and prohibitive in the act to be done. Now watch this. It is specific and it is prohibitive in the act to be done. One could not build a house and fulfill this command. See, what if Noah heard from God, build an ark, and then he brings in his 3 boys, who were named what? Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? And suppose he brought those boys in and said, boys, God told me to build an ark. You know what? We could use a new house. Why don't we just, do that? That's not going to fly, is it? No. All right? And so, thank you, Brother Clyde. All right. All right, the command is, let's see, now I lost my slide. Yeah. One could not build a house and fulfill this command. Though the command is silent about what? It's silent about the house. All right? Now, build an ark of gopher wood. Here the command is specific in the kind of wood that is to be used in the ark's construction. So now we could not use oak. Could we? No, we couldn't. Okay? The command is silent as to the use of oak. However, the silence is prohibitive because the command itself is specific. Use gopher wood. So see, here we have a command that prohibits, something. Why does it prohibit something? Because the command is, specific. It's just like I told you, my 2 sisters sent me to get my mama one of those little, those little bottle Cokes. And I came back with some vanilla Coke and a big old, some kind of liter, but I don't remember what it means. I didn't learn liters in Mississippi. We was glad to learn ounces. Okay. But you know what I'm talking about? One of those big deals. All right. How many deals is that, Linda? 2 liters. Okay. Thank you. Help me remember that. Huh? All right. Well, see, I didn't do what my sisters told me to do, did I? I said, well, I thought she'd like this. That's not what we told you to do. I said, I'll be back. And it was a lot harder finding those little Cokes that she wanted. And I told them, I said, it was really hard. And they said, well, we don't care. That's what we wanted. All right. That wasn't very nice, was it? Okay. Now, the command is not specific in the tools to be used. Right? Not specific in the tools, Brother Clyde. He said, build an ark. So he could use what? He could use an axe. He could use a mallet. He could use the latest chainsaw that they had at that time, couldn't it? It's amazing to me. Have y'all seen the Ark in Kentucky? Let me see your hands. You know, even if you didn't know anything about the Bible, that thing is amazing, isn't it? You know, to me. But anyway, you could use whatever kind of tools. Therefore, silence is permissive in regard to the tools. So you use a hammer, saw, or any number of things. Any questions, comments? I mean, I feel like this is like first grade stuff. I mean, this is, you know, like falling off a log. I mean, how come people can't get this? I don't think it's up here as much, Steve. I don't think it's up here. Dennis, I don't think it's a cognitive deal. I think it has to do, I think it's like my aunt that I was trying to study the Bible with. I may have told you this. And she said to me in the course of this kind of thinking, she said, I wouldn't trade what I feel right here for a stack of Bibles. Now, y'all have all heard preachers say that, but I'm telling you, that's what my aunt said at her kitchen table.
That's what I was telling you the other night. In meeting the man, he said, I made up my mind where I'm going.
Yeah.
I wonder who he consulted.
Well, they just
It'd be like he consulted himself.
they just have the minds made up. And that's the reason I've been pushing so hard. You know, we got to use our heads. We got to think for ourselves. And the beliefs that have been handed down to us by our parents, the elders, the local community, we have respect for them and we want to listen to them, but we got to make sure it squares with the book. Amen? Okay, weak, but I'll take it. Okay. All right, here we go. Where are we? All right, we did that. Now, let's apply this to the music question. Make a joyful noise to the Lord. The command is general, no specifics. Here it's permissive on the kind of noise to make. If you're happy, get to it, right? Make whatever noise you want. It leaves one free to use any means necessary to make noise, your voice, a piano, drums. But the command is specific and prohibitive in the act to be done. You could not be quiet and fulfill that command. Right? Because that command would say, make a noise and be happy about it. Okay? Linda, that reminds me of that picture. Were you thinking of that? Kosciuszko, Mississippi. I wanted to have a family picture, and her oldest daughter, you know, didn't want to be in it. And I said, you get in this picture and you smile and you be happy about it. Okay, I guess you had to be there. All right. All right, now, it is specific and prohibitive. You cannot be quiet. Though the command is silent about being quiet. See, it's the same point. I'm repeating the same thing over and over. Now, what if it said, sing and make melody in your heat unto the Lord? In your heart unto the Lord. Does that slide, is it misspelled on that slide? I'm telling you, I got the wrong, Linda, we've got to get rid of this. You need to have one set of things, right? If you update them or whatever, do what with the other set? Get rid of it. All right. I learned my lesson. All right. The command is specific in that it limits the kind of music to be made in worship. One could not use a piano and fulfill this command. It's silent as to the use of a piano. The silence is prohibitive because the command is specific. The command alone is not specific in the kind of singing. So silence is permissive in regard to the tools, and one could use a song leader, a song book, or a pitch pipe, or a watch, or a light bulb. Questions? Comments? Okay. Now, what if it says build an ark? Well, the command is a general command, no specifics. Silence here is permissive in how it is built.
We don't have that.
Yeah, you don't have that one? Okay. All right, did I go backwards? Yeah, I did, didn't I? Sorry. Forward is on the right. Backwards on the left, right? Okay. What was that? Okay. I am progressing. Okay. All right, now sing and make melody in your heat unto the Lord, your heart unto the Lord. All right, this command is specific in that it limits the kind of music that is to be made in worship. You could not use a piano and fulfill this, but it's silent as to the use of a piano. And so, however, the silence is prohibitive because the command is specific. All I'm doing here is using Noah and the ark and generic and specific authority, and using instrumental music as an illustration. All right, we have any comments on that? Okay. Now, let's look at these. You got your Bibles. I want to spend a little time on this, if we can. We got 10 minutes. All right. Now, who can tell us the point I'm trying to make here on Jesus and the devil? What was the third temptation? The devil did what? He took Jesus where? On a high mountain peak and told him what, Alan? He said, I'll give you all of these kingdoms if you'll bow down and worship me. Now, I love Luke's account. You need to read all 4 Gospels on any particular point that you're studying. In Luke's account, Luke says that the devil showed him everything in a moment. See, moments left out in Matthew's account. So I take it from that, Brother Jonathan, that some way or the other that God allowed the devil to show Jesus like, at the snap of a finger, or just, that everything flashed before him that could be had. Okay? And so, if you'll bow down and worship me. Now, what did the Lord say? You shall do what? Brandon? I thought you was talking. I'm sorry. Donald. All right, Donald, what? All right, the Lord said you shall only worship, the Lord your God. Correct? Okay. Guess what? Nowhere in the Bible I've looked does it say you shall not worship the devil. It's not there. But the very fact that the Bible does say you shall worship the Lord your God and him only shall you serve, what does that say about the devil? He's eliminated, right? Okay. What about God and the prophets, God's prophets? I won't read all of these because of our time, but in Deuteronomy 18:20, there's a curse on the prophet who presumed to speak what was not commanded. The prophet was cursed. Okay? What about, we've already talked about the superiority of Jesus and the priesthood of Jesus. All right, let's look at old Nadab and Abihu. Let's do that real quick because I want to tell you something about this that a fellow disputed me on. Okay, now, you know about Nadab and Abihu. They offered profane fire. The King James says strange fire. Now, we do know what the scriptures commanded. You remember the priests were to go to the altar and get a live coal, from the altar and start the fire with that. Am I right, Brother Allen? Okay. But they didn't do that. They had a new edition of a Zippo cigarette lighter, and that's what they used. Or they might have used a grapevine or something that was lit somewhere. No, you'd have to have some kind of fire to start that way. I don't know what they did. But here's the deal. They did not do what God told them to do. Correct? All right, and then their punishment. We don't have to read all of that. You remember that fire went out from the Lord. Now notice in verse 3, this is what the Lord said. By those who come near me, I must be regarded as holy, and before all the people, I must be glorified. Now verse 10 says that you may distinguish between holy and unholy, and between unclean and clean. Now if you read this whole context, you'll find that in verse 9, the Lord said to Aaron, do not drink wine or intoxicating drink, you nor your sons with you, when you go into the tabernacle of meeting, lest you die. It shall be a statute forever throughout the generations. Now here's what a man said to me one time. He said, well, the real sin that they committed was being intoxicated. Not the strange fire. They said the real sin, Brother John, was they were intoxicated. To which I replied by saying, well, that just shows you what drinking will cause. If they were intoxicated, and I kind of think that they were, otherwise we wouldn't have all this instruction, about what to do at this time. But the point is, they did not carry out God's command. Is that right? Carol, you agree with that? Okay. Brother Frank, what do you think?
Given an order, you better follow it.
Okay. You're a military guy. You know about that, don't you? All right. Y'all have a comment or anything on that?
It didn't have anything to do with alcohol. That's a strange insertion there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The context, is definitely, I think, pointing to, a sin that they were committing, which in turn led them, to commit another sin. Okay, real quick, let's look at Uzzah. You know the story of Uzzah in 1 Chronicles 13, don't you? Can we summarize it? And 1 Chronicles 15, what's Uzzah doing? What did he do, Larry? Well, before we get to the punchline, could we back up a little bit? Okay, all right. Okay.
David moved the ark, but he didn't do it the right way.
Okay. David moved the ark of the covenant. And we're grateful for these little points that y'all shared with us here to embellish our story. Okay. Beth tells us it was a new cart. And Brother Acuff, what did you say?
I don't know, Brother Acuff. I don't know.
Brother McDuffie, I have called you Acuff 50 times.
He called me a lot of things. We'll not go over that tonight.
I'd appreciate you not doing things like that when you, upon seeing me, drink water. Okay. All right, Brother McDuffie, what did you say? Put his hand on the ark. All right, very good. All right, so David's moving the Ark of the Covenant. He's not moving it according to the instructions that have been given. Okay, we're just about out of time. What were the instructions? That only the, what? Only the Levites were to move the Ark of the Covenant, and they were not to touch it. The Ark of the Covenant had rings on the side, and there were long poles that were inserted through these rings, and it was borne on the shoulders of the priest. Okay, now what?
Specific family of the Levites that was commanded when they were moving to carry the ark too. The others were given wagons and stuff, and they had to carry the ark.
And it should have been covered as well.
Yeah, a lot of things. David really dropped the ball here. Big time. Okay, now, so the oxen stumble when they were crossing Nachon's threshing floor, correct? And so the ark is about to fall. Now, wouldn't that be something? What were the items in the Ark of the Covenant? Aaron's budding rod, a bowl of manna, and the 2 tablets of stone. Now, imagine this. The oxen stumble, the Ark of the Covenant falls off the cart, it's going down the hill, the top comes off of it, the bowl of manna, breaks and manna's everywhere. The tables of stone are breaking. Aaron's budding rod, we can't even find it. And so what goes through Uzzah's head? Wow, we can't have a mess like this. We got to steady it. And what happened to him? Yeah, a good point, Carol. He had honorable intentions, but he violated what God said. And it had disastrous consequences for him, didn't it? Okay, what's the last one? The last one is Uzziah. You know what that is? He goes into the temple, and the priest, I forgot how many it was, a number of priests approached him and said, "This is not for you." But the Bible says he was proud and lifted up, and he was going to do it anyway. What happened? Brandon? Leprosy broke out on him, and he died a leper. All right. I love you guys. See you next week. Well, I'll see you Sunday. But I'll see you in here next week.